Week two of the Big E breakdown. We're talking Colonel football. It is the home opener for EKU this Saturday against Houston Christian, 6 o'clock out at RKS. Greg, Jim, Wes, and who's this new guy we got with us?
Oh, I heard he used to be a place kicker. That's what I heard.
Do you think he could hit from 40 now?
Oh God. I mean, as long as it's not on the right hash, I think we'll be pretty good.
So you got to be a
Just have a
square
little,
up center guy.
yeah, just a little PTSD from Western Carolina.
Patrick, I remember we were at a scrimmage, I think it was last year, and you had said that Roy Kidd Stadium is the hardest stadium you've ever had to kick in. Is that still true?
Oh, for sure. No, like without a doubt. That wind, I mean, it changes every direction depending on the day, and it's always blowing in from the bypass. It's one of the hardest, if not the hardest stadiums I've had to kick in.
Well, Pat, we're glad to have you on board this year for home games. I know you'll be on the audio version of the call with me, and excited to have you on board and excited to have you here on the Big E Breakdown.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
All right, guys. Well, we're going to recap the Louisville game on Saturday. I know we kind of touched on it in our post game a little bit. Got off to a slow start, but I think we all can agree, minus the slow start, there were some positives that we can take from it.
Yeah, Walt Wells is certainly focused on the positives. The fact that they were able to stymie the rush some during the game after the first half explosions by Isaac Brown, and he also said there were individuals that had good games. Obviously, three interceptions and the ability to score some points off those interceptions was big. But yet, you also got to underscore that we had our lowest total yardage number at 150 in 7 seasons, our lowest first down numbers in 5 seasons, and our worst third down percentage conversion rate in 8 seasons. And you got to give U of L a lot of credit for that. I think they're a top 25 team. I don't know if they're a top 10 team. That to be seen. We've got to see what their offensive and defensive lines do, how the quarterback plays against a tough schedule. But I do think you have to look at the positives when you go and play a P4 that's a top 25 level team.
I think that they have the potential of being a top 10 defense in the country, not just the ACC. I really feel like they have a majority of talent on the defensive side. And depending on what their offense does, maybe they could have a magical run. Who knows? That you and I, Greg, have always talked about. Louisville always has that one game where they just kind of, you're left scratching your head as to what actually happened. Why did they lose that game? And we'll see if Jeff Brom can avoid that this season. But the defense, I really feel like that they have the potential. They may not be there yet, but they have the potential of being a top 10 defense in the country.
Well, Walt Wells has
I
never been
thought this
shy to play tough opponents. And Pat, you can speak on this a little bit. And I was talking to you, Greg, earlier. That may be the toughest opponent that an EKU team has faced in quite a while.
Yeah. I mean, if we're talking like the early FBS games, I mean, I think the last team that we played that was that good and like quality had to have been either Kentucky or Cincinnati. And that, I mean, that was 2023.
Mhm. Yeah.
But I
you
mean,
know the one
we didn't
thing
even play well.
the one thing I was interested, you take us, you played for those 4 years. If you get beat down like the Colonels did in the first half at U of L, what has to be the mindset coming into practice and then into the next few games? You see it as a positive that you learned, or can it be a negative?
I mean, I think it can be both. I think it's whichever way the team takes it and how like Coach Wells, you know, brings it across to the team, like in team meetings, because it makes me think back to 2023 season. I mean, we got our teeth knocked in at Cincinnati. And then the very next week, we came back and played Kentucky, and we went all 4 quarters with them and probably should have came out on top of that game. There was just a few mental errors, like in the first half, couple in the second half. But for the most part, we held with them and probably should have beat them. But, I mean, the message that week was, you know, it was more of just like a wake up call kind of thing where it's like, hey, like we've been training for the past 9 months. Like it's here, you know, it's time to wake up. It's not camp anymore where it's thud or you're going quarter speed, going through your run fits or whatever. Like it's full live. You're going against somebody who wants to go through you.
I think the Cincinnati game, if I remember Walt talking about it afterwards, he talked about how it was the snowball effect. A couple of bad early mistakes and things just snowball from there because your game plan kind of gets thrown out of whack. You have guys that are thinking they've got to make up stuff uh, uh, and get out of doing what they're supposed to be doing. So I don't think that Cincinnati team, as bad as that game was, I don't think that Cincinnati team is nowhere near the Louisville team that we saw last Saturday. I think the Louisville team has more talent top to bottom. Now, whether that gels into whatever they need to have it gel into to be a national contender, then that remains to be seen. But I think that Louisville team that we saw Saturday, the talent they had top to bottom, much better than anything we've seen from Kentucky, anything that we've seen from Cincinnati, and really kind of better than we've seen in 5 or 6 years from an FBS opponent.
This is one of the best teams we've played since we went out to Oregon State, and they had all those great pros on the team, and all those JUCOs came up for Dennis Erickson. I think was the head coach from the California area, from LA, and that team was incredible as well. There's not a whole lot more to say about the U of L game, except I thought takeaway, and again, they're two big plays, but the kickoff return where 3 or 4 tackles were missed, or no, the punt return, and then the kickoff return late in the game. But Baker punted well. Flabiano, the new kicker, booted one through from the spot where he's had the most trouble kicking from, according to Walt Wells in preseason. And so I think, and we didn't get much of a chance to do anything in the return game, but you have trust in Montgomery. So I think our special team should be pretty solid. And it's going to be really interesting as we change the yardstick or the metric, right? And Pat, the team that EKU is playing this week, Houston Christian, they played a team that you really have to work hard not to beat like a drum. Team that's only won 5 games over 5 years in NAIA and Arkansas Baptist. Don't you think? Am I right that if you play a tough team and you get knocked around, it's still better for you preparing for the next week than playing a team that you know you're easily going to beat against inferior competition?
Yeah, I mean, we've always thought about it as like you play the next. You don't worry about what you just did. You always worry about the next opponent. And I mean, on paper, there probably aren't the best team we're going to face on paper, which they're not. But I also have seen it to where like you can't take any team lightly. And this can be a great game to get some momentum going for EKU. Get Miles at his second game starting here, get him settled in. Just get a lot of new key pieces that we've had transfer in this season to really settle in with our team and the new concepts and just how our coordinators run things. So I think like this week could really be something that tries to kick off the season well. But I think putting Louisville behind us will be probably the hardest thing to do.
There's the old coach's adage that the biggest jump for a team is between week 1 and week 2. And Jason Bachtel and I, the head coach of Houston Christian, when we talked this week, we had that discussion. And he's under no pretense that Eastern probably got more out of their game against Louisville than they did against Arkansas Baptist. They had so many new players. They had so many position battles coming into spring and then fall camp. They're still there were some things that were not decided in game 1 just because guys didn't get long enough to be on the field as they called the dogs off fairly early. They were still in the first half. So they had so many position changes and new faces. They had 9 quarterbacks when they started spring. I think they've probably gotten down to who they're going to use. They had running back questions. The biggest questions of all are on the offensive line. 14 newcomers on the offensive line when fall camp started. I think only one holdover that had started for him previously. And they're still, he told me, going to be making decisions as they come to Richmond and play this game on Saturday. So my takeaway is that there's so many questions I don't think we're really going to know who we have on either sideline this Saturday until the game's probably over. We might have a little bit better of a understanding of what these two teams are about.
You know who we will know about? He's back after a redshirt year. He headed from Memphis in the portal and came back, and that's an All-America. Their linebacker wearing number 6, Rodney Dansby. I've seen tape on him. That guy can get sidelines to sidelines. He can go up the middle at you. I know 6 has got a big circle around his name on the EKU scouting report. He has to. He's really good, isn't he?
He is, and when I was talking with Coach Bactell, he bristled a little bit because from tape that I saw, I thought Dansby's kind of the guy that's out there making calls on the defense, and he didn't want to hear that. He said no. He said Dansby, he's a junkyard dog. We want him slobbering from the opening kick till the end of the game. We just want him running around and making plays. We don't want him to worry about anything else. And a name that might spook a few Colonel fans, the guy that's making the calls on defense is the Mike linebacker, and that's Trent Zappi. And I know you know who Trent Zappi, or at least his last name. His older brother was a guy that torched EKU back in 2020 when they came to Richmond for the very first meeting between these two teams.
Yeah, 35 of 46 through the air for 308 yards. And he, the offensive coordinator, and his top 2 wide receivers all went in a true package deal in Zappi's graduate year to Western Kentucky. He's still hanging on in the NFL, isn't he, Jim?
I know.
I think practice squad, maybe.
Yeah, in the whole scheme of things in Cleveland, the absolute dumpster fire that is the Cleveland quarterbacks room. They traded one away, and I think Pickett, he went somewhere else. So they actually had to put one on the practice squad, and I think Zappi was the guy they signed and got to the practice squad there in Pittsburgh. But you got Shedeur Sanders, of course, and that whole soap opera. You've got Aaron Rodgers. I mean, it's just been crazy in the offseason and then into fall camp, what's going on in the Pittsburgh quarterback room.
You talk about a guy that really put Houston Baptist at the time, now Houston Christian, on a map. And I think if you poll 10 people, maybe not everybody knows truly who Houston Christian is, but they may can throw that Bailey Zappi name at you.
Got a colonel now down in Houston. He played his first 2 years at EKU and then out to Iowa State. Jaden Higgins, second round draft choice of the Houston Texans. Let me ask you about quarterback, Jim. You talked to the coach. Jake Weir got their start in game 1. He's a Mississippi State transfer, but never played it down there. He was a preferred walk-on. And they also have Maddox Kopp, who got some playing time, and he's been at Houston, at Colorado, and at Miami of Ohio, but doesn't have many impressive numbers. So what did he say? Did he give any clues about what's going to go at quarterback on Saturday?
Yeah, you'll hear a lot of this in Know Your Foe, but he did say that they felt like they had narrowed it down to Weir, that he had shown more in fall camp, that he had done enough in game 1 in a short amount of time. They didn't throw a lot of passes because they were running the football all over Arkansas Baptist, but they felt like that he had shown enough. They want to settle on Weir. They're going to go that direction, but don't be surprised if Kopp gets into the game. And it wouldn't shock me if he does either, because he did have a few series that he looked pretty good. Now, again, granted, you can look pretty good when all you got to do is turn around and give the ball to the running back when you're not throwing too many passes. But it would not shock me if Kopp gets in, but they're pretty much settled on Weir. They feel like he's the guy for this year anyway.
Jim, let me ask you a question. It was against Arkansas Baptist, but they did rush for 400 yards. Do you take any meaning into that?
None whatsoever. I don't think, again, what you have to remember is you had one guy, a holdover from last year's team, and 14 newcomers trying to make a spot at offensive line. And I don't think, no matter how long you go in fall camp and then play Arkansas Baptist, you're still not going to know a whole lot about this offensive line. Bactell did admit to me in our conversation that, yeah, we want to see some more things, so we'll still be making those decisions. But I don't think you can horse gallop over a team like Arkansas Baptist and really take that as a sign of, well, I'll say consistency, if not improvement, among those guys that you're switching out. I think their cycle is going to be somewhere 7 to 8, possibly 9 that they'll move in and out. And there are guys on the outside of that we won't see on Saturday, but still decisions to be made. And I just don't think, I think Greg could have gotten at least 100, maybe a buck against Arkansas Baptist.
With the two of us blocking, yeah. Pat can be the safety. Yeah.
Pat wasn't always a kicker. You in high school, you played some other positions. Were you an all-state safety or something like that?
Yeah, I was. I was a all-state safety back in the day, about 25 pounds ago. But
Yeah.
Join the club.
You couldn't cover Jim now, probably. Let me ask you something about EKU's running backs. Bad news on Telly McAllister. Number one, Walt Wells told me this week that the ACC on review did confirm that it was a horse collar. Wouldn't have impacted the play, but Telly should have at least been rewarded the flag and the team. But he damaged ligaments. His ankle was basically broken, a fibia. He's done. You hate it for him, and that's a tough loss. I've always had this concern in the back of my mind, Pat and Jim and Wes, that we're going to nothing against Braden Latham or Brady Hensley or Montgomery at all, but I think we're just going to miss the leadership and the toughness of Carter. I look at what he did last year, and he's top 15 in touchdowns and rushing yards in a season at EKU, and this has been tailback you back in the day. So, how much do you think we're going to miss Josh Carter game in, game out?
Josh was that kind of guy that he was a big glue guy. I mean, he was somebody that no matter the play, you knew what you were getting from him. I mean, he was great in the pass game. He'd run it down your throat. You just know what you're getting when it comes from him. And I think every other team also knew what you were getting when you're trying to scheme up a defense or a run defense against Carter. I think this year, I mean, BB's a great back. He's put on some weight this offseason. I think he's a little quicker than Josh was, a little bit more agile, and his agility is just a little bit better. I mean, Brady Hensley, he's also thrown in some good pieces, and I think he'll start to grow into a good number 2 back through time. But then you also have Jalen Montgomery, but I mean, he's primary returner, but he's also the second string running back. And I mean, he's got that second level speed that once he breaks through the front line, like very few people are going to catch him. But I think.
So you think we're okay then at running back? We're going to be.
I think we're going to be all right at running back. I think the big key for our running backs is going to be there going to be gaps and holes for them to run through. I think if they're given the opportunity, they'll be fine.
Yeah, that's where I'm going to go. I'm going to funnel this to the offensive line. There has to be some congealment, some kind of light bulb moment for these guys that pops on, and they start. We get more of a definition between the first line and the second line, or any substitutions to get in there. Those guys, I think the consistency is going to have to come from there for your running game. And then we need more time for Miles to be able to throw the football. So here it all starts up front. I'm excited about the Houston Christian game because before Marshall, we might get Miles to kind of get a little bit more comfortable behind the offensive line if they can give him time. And I think we will see more time for Miles to be able to sit down and get more comfortable in the offense. Am I off too much there, Pat? Does that seem like, am I trying to make up a fantasy here?
No, I mean, I completely agree with you. I mean, our O-line needs to give, he needs to have enough time to get a 5-step drop, period. I mean, there was that one play on his fumble, or it might have not been the fumble. Now, again, we're talking about Louisville's edge rushers, but at the same time, like, I don't even know if he made it to his back foot yet before he got clobbered by both sides.
Yeah. And that's, that was a phrase that Bachtel used that kind of stuck with me in our conversation was the game speed. It'll slow down for Miles in this game. And
Yeah.
for Houston Christian, they've got to make the bigger adjustment on game speed because they've got to ramp up.
Yeah.
They have to make the adjustment up to a faster game speed.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be a huge key in the early going of this one.
Yeah, I think for Miles, everything's just going to kind of slow down and be not slow motion because, I mean, obviously they have talented guys on the defense over there too. But, I mean, it's not going to be the same pace of play as, I mean, the DBs aren't going to be as quick. They're not going the edge rushers aren't going to be as long. Their first step's not going to be that quick around the edge. But at the same time, can't overthink it. Just go through his progressions, and I mean, I think he'll do good this game. I think everything will slow down. He'll settle in, find his groove, find his guys, and just pick them apart that way.
Should be an easier measuring stick.
Yeah, I'm just glad that Jim used the word light bulb after he used that big word congealment. I'm impressed. I've never heard that. I liked it though. It was good.
That word of the day is paying off.
Yes, I think we got good feedback on going to an hour on our pregame show, and
yeah,
we're going to do it again every time. So we should have
be
fun
good
from the top of Roykin Stadium.
Yeah, it would be good. We'll have all of our coverage at 5:00 for a 6:00 kickoff. First 30 minutes will be Colonel Game Day. Then we'll start the pregame show. You guys, Greg and Jim, will be on the first opening segment of the pregame, and then we'll break up. I know that crushes your soul a little bit, but we'll break up, and you guys will have an awesome call on ESPN Plus, and Pat and I will take it over on the audio stream.
We'll be in the booth right next to you. Tested the new equipment today, so we can pass notes.
Yeah, there we go.
Along to each other,
but like kids in second grade. Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll be back on the air on the post-game show as well. I'll talk with Walt. Hopefully, we'll talk about a victory.
Yeah, real quick, guys, did you see the note on Matt Morrissey today?
I did not.
He signed with the CFL practice squad, a team out of the CFL, the Ottawa team, the Ottawa Red Blacks. He's on the practice squad with the Ottawa team in the CFL. So congratulations to Matt. All right, you ready for our question of the day?
Yes.
All right. It comes to us from Richard. Who do you think will have a breakout season this year?
I'll go first.
Take it.
I think we saw a little bit of it last Saturday. I think Tisdale has the breakout season. I think we're going to see a market improvement from last year to this year, even though he was pretty decent last year. So I think what we saw on Saturday is a preview of what he can actually bring to this team defensively. And he'll be one of those guys that by the time the end of the season rolls around, I don't think teams are going to be throwing to his side of the field very much. So you love having those guys because it does limit the offense of the opponent. And you can kind of streamline what you're doing defensively if you have that guy out there on the outside that can do that. So my vote is Tisdale.
That's good.
I would second that. I think on offense, I don't know that they will, but fingers crossed. I want to see it from Jaden West or Caleb Slachter as a breakout. Okay. Obviously, Kawhi's had his breakout his freshman year.
Yeah. Pat, who you got?
I mean, y'all went offense, defense, so I'm going to have to go with Flabiano.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with him. I mean, transfer from UTEP, didn't have the best season last season. But I know the quality of kicks that he's able to make. I know he's good under pressure. He has a really good leg, good height. I think he's a solid kicker. I think he's going to find his groove and be a really good addition for taking my spot.
And I think he's got one of the best names of all time for a field.
Oh, yeah.
I just love it.
Buzz Flabiano.
I'm going to go, you may not see it as much in stats, but I'm going to go Antonio Gaines. I think Antonio Gaines has a really good year on the O-line. That's my prediction. Well, if you it'd be certainly nice to see. If you have a question, like to email us here to talk on the Big E Breakdown, email us a question at ekusportsnet@gmail.com, and we'll get to your question and maybe even be featured like Richard was today here with our question of the day. 5:00 airtime, gentlemen. We'll talk to you from Roy Kidd Stadium. Have a pregame, Colonel Game Day, all that. Festivities at 5, kickoff at 6.